Hey everybody, it's your boy Captain Hunter coming at you again. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to check out this video. Appreciate it, appreciate it, appreciate it, appreciate it. We got a good one for you today. Listen, I'm not making these to be deliberately to be provocative or to start internet beefs or anything like that. But I just want to put some stuff out there to correct the record and to set the record straight so people aren't given bad information. And, sometimes we're just given bad information about a lot of different things. And, this space that is dedicated to men's improvement can be littered with just bad information and from shady characters. And I think that's a problem. I talked before. I did a previous video. I'm not taking a screenshot of it right now, but I may put up the thumbnail about the professionalization that I think that this space ultimately needs. And I'd like Dr. Thunder, someone we're going to highlight today, Tia San Johnson, a couple of other individuals who I think are professional. And I think that this space really needs that type of academic professionalization, not just from academics, business leaders, politicians, right, in order to really improve the lives of our young men, our boys, and then eventually our older men. So in that vein, right, so we have here Dr. Thunder, who is now a full professor. Congratulations to him for his full professorship. And I think that he's got over 10,000 subs, which is fairly new. So congratulations on those two fronts to him. And so I wanted to, so I checked out the show. He does a morning show every morning, Monday through Friday. And then on Fridays, he does a open panel where he has different guests on it. I've been up there once or twice. I don't think he knows it was me, but I was up there once or twice. And so so Dr. Thunder had a special guest on, Donovan Sharp. Donovan Sharp is a big audience. I don't follow the man, but let me see if I can pull up some of his, I'm not going to pull up his stats or anything, but yeah, let's go over here. And so this is from Amazon, right? This is about Donovan Sharp. This is from Amazon. I guess he's an author. I don't know if you can see the whole thing here, but it says, you can't see it. Let's see. Donovan Sharp is a self-made man who overcame from a broken home, countless run-ins with the law, and an incalculable number of failures with women, which included a 7-year marriage that ended in divorce. Despite the adversity he has faced throughout his life, he has owned 3 successful businesses and has become one of the most influential men in the red pill community. His successes and failures make him uniquely qualified to show and teach men how to live their lives of unapologetic masculinity and dominance, regardless of age, race, or background. And so that's him. From there, you go to his website. It's donovansharp.com, and he's got a bunch of stuff up here, TSR Academy. I don't know what that stands for. It's got a Patreon and all that kind of stuff. So that's his bio, right? There's nothing, podcasts, books. He's got some free ebooks, womanese, how to train your woman, jeez, courses, newsletter, all this kind of stuff. So that's him. That's his bio, right? So I'm going to come back to this page in a second here. All right, so we're going to come back to that page. So I had to get up and close my window there. So we're gonna cover that in a second here. So Donovan Sharp, the man on the lower circle on the right hand side, comes on the show and he starts talking, and they're having a good discussion about, and they're doing a reaction review of this Andrew Wilson and some younger feminist. Andrew Wilson is a guy who's blowing up in the so-called red pill space. Red pill space has taken from the Matrix. You have the red, the blue, and the black pill. Red pill means you've taken the pill, the red pill, and you want to see life as it really is, what's really going on here. The blue pill would be you return back to the Matrix. You understand what you understand, or maybe you have a limited understanding about the way that the world really works, and you want to go back, in particular, in your dealings with women. You want to get married, you want to have a house and kids, right? You're kind of ignoring the divorce laws and things like that. The red pill says, here's what happens to you if you get married, if you have a girlfriend, if you have what can happen to you financially, what the court system has, the way the laws are stacked, all those types of things, right? I'm sure it's probably a little bit more complicated than that, but the red pill is the people who are saying this is, where Donovan's Sharp had an image there on his website, says how to train your woman, right? You got to be masculine at all times. You got to be dominate your woman, understand female nature, and you make the best decisions with your life and the way that you want to go. Some of that I agree with. Some of it I don't. But I do think that masculinity is important. I don't think that there's anything wrong with being unapologetically masculine. I don't think there's anything wrong with a man or male competently, in particular, leading their household. I don't have a problem with any of that type of language. So I don't think I need to train my woman. I don't think I need to train my woman though, but everybody's different. So this is so they're reviewing this and all this. So this is we're kind of far in here. And so Donovan is they're talking about marriage right now. The interaction between Wilson and this lady here is about marriage. And then they're going to interrupt us in a few moments here. And Donovan Sharp's going to talk about his off the books, non-traditional, non-legal, devoid of the state marriage. And some jerk by the name of Dusty PhD is going to chime in and say, what he's done is really kind of the same thing. Well, let me tell you something. That jerk is me. I am Dusty PhD. I am Big L PhD. I have another channel, Big L PhD, where I talk about just encouragement, life coaching type of stuff. And Dusty PhD is a moniker I've taken because in a few months I plan to be a dusty traveler, right? I'm a black man, right? We're all dusty, we're all broken dusty, right? But I'm going to be traveling the world, and I've already kind of set up a channel. I'm setting up a channel, and that's going to be me, right? There's no videos up there yet, but when I start my traveling, I'm going to be documenting my adventures overseas in different countries. I'm going to do the lily pad hopping to different countries, just enjoying my life as a single man. My kids are grown. I have a pension. I teach online. I'm going to be making videos, and that's what I'm going to do as a Dusty PhD. So that's why I take the name Dusty PhD. If you look at the picture, it's me. Big L PhD is also me. I also have another channel, LMH Consulting Services. So I got a couple of different channels. So we're going to hear it, and then he's going to chime in, and he's going to say some things in response to something I wrote in the live chat. So enough of me talking here. Let's play it.
You're talking college-educated women like you. It's as high as 90% of the marriages which are ended or initiated by them. And then, it's about 67%. Of general marriages are ended by women, and it's for irreconcilable differences, not for abuse.
Yeah, I was watching CGA. Shout out to CGA.
Yeah, man.
Often is the case that we don't consider marriage over a long enough period to see the actual divorce rate. Right. So people will be like, "Oh yeah, marriage, divorce rate is like 45%, 50%." And the divorce rate's going down. Well, it's going down because less people are getting married. That's
exactly right. Yes.
And then more people are off the books with their marriage, so they're not actually tracked by the state. So then there's that.
And I am one of those people. I am married to my wife, Devin. We did not involve the state. We didn't involve the state. We didn't sign any papers. We just, you saw it. I did it in Miami. I was the officiant. I said, I'm the officiant by the power vested in me. I now pronounce us, man and wife. We just had a little ceremony, cut some cake, and went and did the interview with ABC and talked about it. But we're not legally married, and we never will be legally married. That would not be smart on my part.
So let me pause it here, right? So now I'm typing in the chat and I'm saying, I don't know if it's going to pop on the screen, but I'm saying that I don't think I can get it here in the chat. Sometimes you can pull it up on your phone, but you can't pull up old chats and stuff. Anyway, so sometimes I can pull it up on the phone. But anyway, so I'm typing in the chat and I say something along the lines of what Donovan has done is considered common law, depending on the state that you live in, is considered common law. So that's what I'm writing. They're going to play a little bit, and then you're going to hear him interrupt and say, "Hey, Dusty PhD, you're wrong." I'm not wrong, and I'll prove that.
Yeah, when you consider marriage over 40 years, 67% divorce rate.
Wow. 40 years and over 67%?
Yeah, so I'm saying I'm saying if you consider marriages in a 40-year window, okay, because what they're doing is they're sort of hiding the numbers by not expanding the window wide enough. When you expand the window over 40 years to include anything from 1 year all the way to 40 years, the divorce rate is 67%.
Good God, man. It's even worse than I thought.
Let's keep going.
It's not for abuse, it's like number 4 down the list is money. But the first one's irreconcilable differences. I just didn't want to be married anymore.
There it is.
Not because of abuse.
Nope.
Yeah.
Thanks to no-fault divorce.
That's right.
So.
I forgot what point we were trying to build to.
Well, we were building in feminism being a destructive path to the nuclear family, and how that's one of the primary reasons that I oppose it. And then I gave you example after example of how it has done that.
Okay. So you're saying because feminism is driving up divorce rates, that's why it's destroying the nuclear family?
That's only one reason. The other reason is because now it requires 2 incomes in order to raise a family, which means that more and more women have to send their kids off to public school. Public school gets extended longer and longer periods of time because it ends up being a babysitting platform for women, or for women's children. So basically, the public schools have now become your built-in babysitter.
Yep.
Yeah. So Dusty PhD says, depending on the state, what Donovan did still counts as a legal marriage. No, it doesn't. There's a thing called common law marriage. Doesn't apply in the state of Florida, doesn't apply here in the state of New Jersey where I currently live, and it does not apply in the state of Nevada where we are moving to. Now, I will tell you this. If Devin and I decide to get a divorce, or if we decide to part ways, I have money set aside for her. If I wake up for whatever reason and decide, you know what, I don't want to be with Devin anymore, I've got some money set aside for her. Because she helps me with my business. She works behind the scenes. She is a huge reason why I am successful today. And so that's what I did. Now, Uncut Underground says, why get married at all if you can't trust her just to make her feel better? Because she's earned it, Uncut Underground. I've been with Devin now for 8 years. And she's awesome. She's awesome. She elevates my life. She's fit. She's feminine. She's friendly. She's faithful. She helps me with, like I said, she helps me with my business. She does whatever I ask her to do without question. She submits to my authority, does literally everything I ask her to do. And so, I just didn't want to call her my girlfriend anymore because she had been doing wifely things for quite a while. She actually built my website before I had even.
All right, listen, I don't want to keep going on with that. You get the point. You get the gist. You can go watch this full on Dr. Thunder's channel, or you can even watch the original debate, the whatever podcast. You can watch that. And they got the fair use thing up here, so let me claim that as well. Fair use right there, right? So Donovan is, I mean, he first of all, as a red pill guy, he really should be more up on this. So as a police officer, when I was in the police department, right, we constantly ran into people who were telling us that they were their wife, right? I was in, my wife this, we were married, my wife this, this, whatever. My wife this, my husband that, constantly. But when we dig into their lives, we figure out that they're not married, right? We ran into them. So we would have trainings about this type of thing, right? People get married, and then of course, there's 2 different types of laws, right? You have the criminal law, and then we have civil law. So this is all civil type of stuff. So we had to be somewhat familiar with civil law. And if there's an attorney out there who's going to watch this, or you want to run it by an attorney about what I'm going to say, then please feel free to say so. And this is why I read his bio. I don't know if he was a lawyer. I don't watch Donovan Sharp. I don't know if he was a lawyer or what his background is, if he has a degree or not. That's why I read it. I mean, because I don't always think that just because somebody doesn't have a degree doesn't mean, right? You ought to attack the argument. You ought to attack the argument instead of the person, right? So I'm going to attack the argument. So he talked about common law marriage, and I agree with that. Again, so let me talk about the criminal and civil law. Both of these stem from the UK or the English system, English tort law, English criminal law, and all that, right? They all stem from that. Whether we're talking about divorce laws, we're talking about housing laws, whether we're talking about criminal laws, they all stem from that, right? When somebody dies, you go to probation court. Probate court. You go to probate court. All of this stems from English laws. And English, this is an important one I'm going to say because I'm going to link back to this. Right. So, United States, or the 13 colonies, first started as a colony of the English system, English laws. Right. Then you got New Zealand, you got Australia, you got Canada, and probably a few other places that are slipping my mind right now. Right. Or the Jamaican Islands and all that. All those laws that these people have all stem from the English common law. Right. That's important. Okay. So let's go over. Okay, let's go back to we read that. So I Googled, what are the qualities of a common law marriage? I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but I Googled that. Let's see. What are the qualities of a common law marriage? Right, that's what I Googled, right? So I come up with a bunch of stuff, right? Common law marriage. We're going to read through some of this stuff, right? Oh, man, I don't know why. Who's setting up these websites here? I'm getting my website rebuilt and all that because I don't understand. Because I don't understand all this, right? So I want to read through this, right? So this comes from Harris Law Firm, right? I'm reading this directly from Law Firms. 2021, common law. What do the 3 common law elements truly mean? Cohabitation with your partner for any duration means literally any duration. A clear-cut time frame has not been required by Colorado courts. What is required is that you live together long enough to prove the other 2 elements and that you live as spouses, not as roommates. Mutual agreement, I'm going to drop down in mutual agreement. To be married means that you both have intent to be married. The marriage is agreed upon and entered into by both of you. There have been cases where partners have lived together for years, shared bank accounts, signed documents, claiming to be married. We ran into that all the time in the police department. Yet courts have rejected the request to be considered living as common law marriage because one of the 2 never intended to be married and only wanted the benefits of marriage, decrease in health insurance premium, joint memberships, et cetera, holding yourselves out to be married, evidence of mutual agreement. Now this is in Colorado, right? This is in Colorado. Remember what I said. It depends on the state. That's what I typed in. And then he tried to say, no, well, you're wrong. They're living in New Jersey. They got married in Florida, living in New Jersey, going to move to. I said that. I said that. Depend. And I think I think there's a concession that I was right. It depends on the state. Okay. So that's one law firm, right? What conditions? I gotta keep adjusting this here because these websites are all kind of funky. I apologize about that. This is from Victoria Kramer, the number 1 firm, Pia Hoyt, 801. I don't know where this is at. Initial consultation. I don't know where 801 is at. Anyway, so, but again, it doesn't, I don't know where this is at. What is 801? Anyway, a common law marriage is a relationship that has all attributes of conventional legal marriage, but has not been formalized with a legal license or ceremony. A valid common law marriage confers all the rights, benefits, and responsibility of conventional marriage on both parties. Those in common law marriage are treated like any other married couple with respect to taxation, inheritance, financial obligations, healthcare, and decision-making. In the state of Utah, that's where it is, Utah, for common law, it must be, in order to be valid, there must be a court order or administrative order finding that the following requirements are met. You got to be of legal age. You got to be an adult of mental capacity, right? You got to be living together. The couple must have cohabitated at some point during the relationship. However, the law does not stipulate a minimum amount of time. Same thing as Colorado. Assumption: the parties must commit to one another and mutually assume the duties, obligations, or rights of marriage to the exclusion of others, right? reputation. The couple must constantly hold themselves out to the public as married and must have acquired a reputation as husband and wife. We can continue. Right. The common myth is 7 years, right? All this kind of stuff. All right. One more, right? That's 2 states. I said that before. Here is NOLO, which is legal explanation. What is common law marriage, right? Common law marriage, sometimes called informal marriage, is a marriage that is established without legal formalities, like taking out a marriage license or having a religious ceremony. Those are the 2 basic tenets of it, right? You got to take out in order for it to be a legally recognized marriage, you must have some type of ceremony. It's important. You must have some type of ceremony and take out a marriage license. The basic features of common law marriage are 2 people mean for the relationship to be married, to be as a married couple. They act as the intention of living together and holding themselves out publicly as a married couple. When they have established their legal marriage relationship, they live in a state that recognizes common law marriage for all purposes, and they meet the basic requirements under state law for legal common marriage, right? All this type of stuff. Social security, inheritance, taxes, all this kind of stuff, right? Do you have a valid common law marriage, right? The first thing you need to know, the first thing to understand about common is no longer common. Over the years, most states in the U.S. have stopped all allowing these informal marriages through either laws or the court decisions known as case law. Below, we list common law marriages are recognized, as well as when it comes moving to another state, being old enough, having mental capacity, not being closely related to your spouse, can't be cousins, not being married to anyone else, right? So those are all the things. I said that was the first thing I said. So why he bucked against it, I don't know. And why am I making this video? I'm not making this video to call him out, but I'm making this video because he put this idea out there that I don't have the state, I don't want the state involved. Well, the state's already involved. The state's already involved, right? And so I don't want people when these people in the manosphere, the red pill community, who have no training, who have no experience, who don't know what they're talking about, put out this information, and people follow it. If you were listening to Donovan talk about it, and you're like, oh man, I'm going to do that too, and you don't recognize the state law that you live in, you don't recognize the laws of the state that you live in, and you try to emulate what he did. I put money aside and I got this going on. The states are gonna be like, we don't care what you did. Here's the way the law works, right? Here's the way the law works. I guess I had another one here. So I don't want people falling into, and that's why this community, that's why I advocated for the professionalization of the space with lawyers, people with degrees, people with valid, who know what they're talking about, not just people who've learned from stuff and just I'm going to write. And listen, these people are charismatic. You think they know what they're talking about, right? You got nerds like me, who nobody wants to listen to, and all. Okay. And I'm not a lawyer. I've never been to law school, but I'm reading off law sites, different ones from different states, and we're going to read something else. So I got 2 more things to show you. Every so often, this is from Divorce Law Office of Kristen M. Lowe. Common law marriage in California. Every so often we'll receive a call from someone in a common law marriage situation who's looking to split from their partner and need assistance with property matters or support. It usually starts out like this. A common law marriage usually consists of a couple that considers themselves married and exhibit the typical characteristics within a marriage: cohabitation, joint finances and financial decisions, children, etc. Donovan exhibited all that, and he said, remember that there was 2 other parameters. There's 2 parameters that I said that you needed in order to be legally married. That's the state marriage license and a type of ceremony. Well, he's got one. He said that he was the officiant, the officiant. He said he was the officiant. He officiated over his own ceremony. She's now my wife and I'm now her husband. He's saying this on the air. That can be clipped and recorded in case one day she wants to clip this and in 10 years or 5 years or whatever, say, I want to bring him to court. And he says, I got money set aside for her. And she's like, well, listen, he said on the air, this is what this man said on the air. he got money set aside for me, and in case this happened, and I built his website, and I did this, and she's a good woman, she's my wife, and she's done all this kind of stuff. She helped me with my business. She's that. And if let's just say he has set aside for her, I don't know what his net worth is at all. Let's just say he has a set aside for her $200,000, and she's like, nah, this guy's worth $5 million. You know, based on his books and all the stuff that he sells, he's worth $5 million. I want $2.5 million or $3 million. You think the states aren't going to entertain that and try to take the and do that and try to and give her half? Listen, this is what I'm saying. If you think that you can listen to these types of people who don't know what they're talking about, you don't know. A major exception: California law declares that a marriage is valid based on the laws of different locations, such as another state or foreign country where the marriage occurred. Then California recognized the marriage. Assume that a couple lived in another state or territory where the common law was recognized and they were officially married. The couple later decides to move to California. Generally, so you got to look at all this stuff, right? So I read to you, Nevada? Well, not Nevada. I read Utah. What was this? Colorado. This is Utah. This is just a regular website in California, right? And in California, I think they had a list of this. At the time of this article, the following U.S. states recognize common law marriages. And this was from, well, I Googled this today, so I'm assuming it's still live as of 2020. Okay. Now, again, as a red pill content creator, I don't know how he could say the things that he just said and not be aware of this case. Listen, I'm not in this space, but I knew about this case, right? So this is from the National Post. This is from the National Post. Let's see if I can make this a little bit larger here. National Post. This says unmarried. Now, remember what I said. All laws, particularly in the West, all laws in the West are built upon, or I shouldn't say the West. All laws, many laws in the countries such as the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and probably some others, Jamaica, where there was an influence of English law. That's where we get our criminal codes and our tort codes, probation laws, civil laws, right? That's where we get them from, right? Here's an Ontario law, which is Canada. Now, Canada has some French influences, and they will have some English influences. Louisiana, the state of Louisiana, also they don't have counties down there; they have parishes, right? Off of the French system down there. Okay, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger here. Forgive me, I'm just trying to make this right here. Unmarried Ontario couple had no children, no house, but man must still pay support. Appeals court, not just the regular court. They went to court, but they went to court. They lost. The guy lost and said, "Oh, you got to pay this." And then he took it to appeals, and they said, "Yeah, they're right. The first court was right." In Ontario, being common law spouses, what's that word? Common law spouses doesn't necessarily mean having lived together in the same home. The court found. Michael Latner and Lisa Clemens in 2003 photo, right? That's them. A wealthy businessman will have to pay more than $50,000 a month in spousal support for 10 years. This article was written 2020. It's 2020. It's 4 years later. He's got to pay this for 10 years. 2030, he's got to be paying $50,000 a month to a woman with whom he had a long-term relationship, even though they kept separate homes and had no children together. Ontario's top court has ruled. Under Ontario law, a married couple are considered common law spouses if they have cohabitated, lived together, or in a conjugal relationship continuously for at least 3 years. But that doesn't necessarily mean living in the same home, the court found. Listen, this is what I'm saying. You think that you can hide behind these laws? Listen, these people will change it. They can find a way to help people out, and they think it's unfair, and these are just guidelines. They just read what it was. You got to be living together. But they said, nah, you don't got to be living together. Not continuously. Lack of a shared residence is not a determinative of the issue of cohabitation, the appeals court said, there are many cases in which courts have found cohabitation where the parties stayed together only intermittently. I stay at your house for a week, and I stay at your house for 3 weeks. You come over here, stay for a week, or maybe we don't see each other for 2 weeks. They still found it's still cohabitation. Right? As police officers, we would go knocking on people's door. We would ask, questions. Where's your license say? People say, I live here. I don't want to get kicked out. She don't have the right to boot me out. And we would, when we were, before all these laws really, housing laws really, we really fully understood them, we would ask questions like, where do you get mail at? Where does your driver's license say you live at? Where does your job think you live at? We would ask those type of questions to try to determine who actually lived at the residence and had these people taken up residence. But for cohabitation purposes, for civil court common law purposes, then none of that matters. It's what they feel at the time. Although they maintained their separate homes, Latner and Clemens behaved as a couple both privately and publicly. Remember, we read that. They vacationed together. He gave her a 7.5 carat diamond ring. That was part of it too. A part of it was the intent to be married. He gave her, she quit her job and would regularly sleep at his house, right? This is why they gave her the money. This is exactly why they gave her the money, because she quit her job and would regularly sleep at his house. That's why they gave it to her. They traveled together and talked about living together. Now, in Donovan Sharp's situation, she's like, I work for you, right? And now I'm worth more. You said it. I did half the work. He said it. They traveled together and talked about living together. Latner proposed several times, and Clemens accepted. He often referred to her by her last name. However, he insisted she sign a marriage contract, and came up with several drafts. She refused. None of it was lucrative enough. Apparently, none of it was lucrative enough. You think you can hide? You think you can hide behind this stuff? You think the state or the government is not involved? Throughout the relationship, the two kept separate bank accounts. These people kept separate. Remember all the stuff we read from those different states? Joint bank accounts. Kept separate bank accounts and never owned property in common. Nevertheless, Latner gave Clemens thousands of dollars every month, a credit card, paid off her mortgage, and showered her with expensive gifts. He provided her and her children with a lavish lifestyle, the court said. Theirs was a committed relationship. That was another parameter of it, right? When their 14-year relationship finally broke down in May 2015, Clemens asked the court to recognize her as Latner's spouse and order him to pay support. He argued she had been on a travel companion and girlfriend, nothing more. As such, he said they were never legally spouses and he owed no support. An 8-day trial ensued. In her decision of February 2019, Superior Court Justice Sharon Shore, no surprise there, sided with Clemens. She ruled that they were in fact longtime spouses, finding that despite their separate home, they lived under one roof on Latner's cottage for the part of the summer and during the winter vacations in Florida. She ordered in Florida. What state is that? What state is that? This is an Ontario couple, but they're looking at Florida, right? You think that for reasons of financial considerations, cohabitations, that what happens in Canada and New Zealand and UK and Ireland, and you think all that doesn't matter? They're going to look at all that. She ordered them to pay $53,000 monthly indefinitely. Indefinitely. 14 years. 14 years. She said, oh, you got to pay it indefinitely. Latner appealed. The higher court leaned heavily on Shore's analysis, finding she was right to conclude. The higher court leaned heavily on Shore's analysis, finding she was right to conclude cohabitation can occur even when the parties stay together intermittently. The appeal court did find Shore had made an error in deciding how long Latner would have to pay Clemens support based on when they first began cohabitating. While Shore had found that to be almost from the get-go, the higher court said it wasn't earlier than their first stay together, and they went back to the first time you slept over. Listen, cops get divorced all the time. I knew a police officer who got divorced, and let's just I don't know the length of time, but let's just say it was like 5 years. They were married for 5 years. I know this guy. They were married together for 5 years. The court went back, and when they were deciding the alimony payments, this is hypothetical. I don't know how long they were exactly married. We're just using this as an example. The court went back. Let's just say people say that I was married. We've been together for 8 years, married for 5. The court went back for the entire 3 years or whatever it was. Whatever it was, they made him pay half of whatever it was. That's why, right, when they do this 14-year relationship and stuff, it was the first time you stayed over. Okay, that's why you got to pay 10 years, right? You always hear that you have to pay, that the alimony is half the time in the marriage. Well, half the time would be 7 years, but they're making them pay 10. The appeal court did find Shore made an error. While Shore had found that to be almost from the get-go, the higher court said it wasn't earlier than the first stay together at the home. The higher court said it wasn't earlier than the first day at the home, meaning they didn't reach the threshold for indefinite payments. Instead, it ordered them to pay support for 10 years. Clemens and their lawyers declined comment. Lawyers for Lettner did not immediately respond for the request. I don't know. I'm not sure if I understand. I got to be clear about this. I'm not sure if I understand that. While Shore had found that to be almost from the get-go, that was a lawyer, that was a judge. Shore had found almost from the get-go, the higher court said it wasn't earlier than the first stay together. Oh, she's trying to, Shore was saying the first time they stayed the night, the court was saying that it wasn't, and that it was, first date or whatever. And that's, long story short, whenever Shore established cohabitation, they disagreed with that. That's the end of it. So listen, I didn't make this to particularly call out Donovan. I really didn't. But I'm making this video to have people to understand that if you're following advice like this, and Umar Johnson talks about this all the time, don't get the state involved. Listen, the state. Listen, I googled this somewhere, and the state is already involved. All right, so going back, and I want to clarify this, right? So this is from the NOLO, right? So here's something: both spouses must intend to create a common law marriage, right? So this is the intent, right? Of course, if one person in the relationship denies agreeing to be married, or one of them has died, the question arises, how do you prove someone's state of mind without a marriage license or ceremony? That might be easy if a couple signed an agreement or written document. I mean, you just might as well just sign a marriage license. For instance, Texas allows couples to register their informal marriage, filing a declaration with the county clerk. Just get married. Just get married. Just get married. You're gonna go down. You're gonna sign something else I read. I can't find it now, but it's one of them had to be notarized. If you're gonna get a notarized statement saying that we are in an informal relationship, just get married. Okay. Last time, the only reason I'm making this isn't to embarrass anyone, start an internet war. These people have far bigger platforms than me. But what I'm saying is, if you think that you can listen to Umar Johnson, if you think you can listen to Donovan Sharp, and these people were telling you just leave the state out of your marriage, and you think that's going to work, okay, you got another thought coming. And all these laws, they're looking at each other, right? People from Canada are analyzing stuff that goes on in the U.S., and they're looking at stuff that goes on in New Zealand and Australia and UK, and they're looking at all of it. It's all, you think you're different. You're not. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Much love and peace.